I don't know if you've noticed, it's been raining a lot, hasn't it? I mean, pretty much since winter. Oh, and by the way, in case you didn't know, we're now in the spring. You wouldn't guess that, of course, judging by the weather. It seems here down in the southeast of England, we get one reasonably sunny day every 2 weeks, if we're lucky. It's very kind of them. This is, of course, climate change, man-made climate change. We've been told it's climate change. But this really is climate change, man-made climate change. And the men that are doing it deliberately to affect us.
Hi, Richard. My name's Richard. I've been watching you since you were the Bald Explorer. I've been watching you for a few years. And I've watched you wake up over the last year. It's really good to see, Rich. It's really, really good to see. Me and my friends are watching you closely. We've been on the path for a little bit longer. I've been on this path for, well, I guess, really, since the year 2000. I woke up to geoengineering in 2009 when I moved to Portugal. I've talked all about it on my channel. I've done loads of videos about geoengineering. I started on Facebook trying to tell the world. Nobody was interested. Everybody thought I was a loon. Nobody agreed with what I was saying. And it's funny because now they admit it and still the public think that we're loonies. But it's a reality, yes.
Well, in fact, probably to affect farmers. That's really what's going on. This is geoengineering. This isn't the man-made climate change that we've been told about for ages and ages that is going to cause a catastrophic thing to the planet. No, that's a different type. That's the myth. This is the real man-made climate change, the weather creation by those people of the dark forces, the perpetrators, the people who've been causing all sorts of grief to many of us. And they've decided this year, like they decided 4 years ago, that we would all be suffering something that would make us ill, and they had the golden answer, which was some form of injection with goodness knows what poisons in it. This time, we're going to have a famine. And so in order to provide the famine, we need to sort of drown the land. And that's what's going on. They're creating all this rain, so all the farmers have got their seed that they sown in the winter seed, and it's all ruined. In Lancashire, I think it is, or Lincolnshire, there's great flooding, and 2,000 acres of farmland is underwater. And that was something like 12 million loaves of bread it was equivalent to, that we're no longer going to have. And you can see that this is exactly what the plan is. We've talked about the chemtrails, the geoengineering that crisscrosses the sky, and you've probably heard the weather girls on the television. Not that I watch the television that much, if at all, I don't have one, but they were giving these new clouds that we've seemed to have found in the skies names.
Do you remember geography when you went to school? Do you remember when they told you these are the clouds? There are, I forget how many different types of cloud it was. It was somewhere between 7 and 11 different types of cloud, but that was it. Those were the clouds. And for my entire life, up until they announced that there are new clouds. So for 30 years plus, I'm 46 now, for 30 years plus, there were only those clouds, and now they've discovered these new clouds. People don't really wrap their heads around it and think to themselves, why has nature changed and now there are new clouds? What does that mean? How can there be new clouds? The only way there can be new clouds is if there's new elements to make up those clouds. There's also HARP. And if anybody, well, the deniers will deny, won't they? The deniers will deny. But when you look up at the sky and the clouds look like this, and we call them popcorn clouds. When the clouds look like that, popcorn clouds, that's HARP, H-A-A-R-P, HARP.
Which is a little ridiculous. Yes, the names are these clouds. It's geoengineering.
A lot of people might think I'm obsessed about this, but yesterday there were these strange clouds over the mountains early before 9 o'clock, and I thought, yeah, I bet today is going to be a heavily altered sky. We should be having a beautiful, hot, sunny day, and all that's going to happen is later on in the day, the clouds are going to set in, because I can see that those are not natural clouds.
Keep saying it. Sound like a broken record, they're not.
But look at what they turn into later.
Let's get into some 007 stuff.
And now the government, of course, knows all about this because it's on their website. They know exactly what's going on, and as much as they give lip service to, oh dear, isn't it sad that the farmers are having problems and we'll pay you, don't worry, we'll support you with subsidies, you could just grow some flowers, or indeed you could have a nice solar farm, thousands and thousands of acres of solar farm. That'll be all right, won't it? Get you out of trouble. Meanwhile, there's no food. And this is, of course, the great scam that's coming.
Can you see that sun there? Struggling to get through the layer that's been laid overnight to make sure that the sun isn't able to shine, isn't able to give us its heat, isn't able to feed our plants and feed our bodies with vitamin D, because they're spraying to stop it. This is called geoengineering.
The record number of fires burning across Brazil's Amazon rainforest has prompted renewed global outcry over climate change. And big spending. $5 million from Leonardo DiCaprio, £10 million from the UK. Meanwhile, Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
They're geoengineering. In 2015, I arrived here in Tenerife, and it was noticeable to me that they weren't spraying. Very, very noticeable. The weather here was perfect. I heard that the weather in the Canary Islands was supposed to be just pretty much no seasons, really, just spring and summer. And when I arrived here, I had to stop wearing jeans. I had to stop wearing trainers and socks. I had to just shorts, t-shirt, flip-flops, and I had to buy a man bag. And I was dead against man bags. I thought that it was the emasculation of men. But I did see a practical use for them, so I bought a man bag back in 2015 for the first time. But anyway, in 2017, they started spraying here. And I went nuts. I went crazy. And I started making videos, and I was telling everybody, and I was trying to get people to see what was happening and to have an opinion about it. And everybody thought it was oh, they're just contrails. Or it's, well, what can we do? Well, they've changed the weather here in Tenerife. Now, it's messing up the farms. It's messing up the crops. It's also messing up the indigenous wildlife. You know, I've noticed that some of the Mimosa hostilis here doesn't know what time of year it is. You've got some of them that are think it's spring, and some of them think it's winter. Basically, they're in different stages because they don't know what time of the year is, what time of year it is. I've been showing how they've changed the weather here. People are paying £600, £700, £800 plus a week to stay here, to have a nice holiday, to have a beautiful holiday with beautiful, predictable, sunny, warm weather all the time, which is what it was like for 2 years when I arrived here. For 2 years, it was just perfect all the time. Even in December, it was still summer compared to everywhere else. It was cooler than it is here in what would be summer, but man, you got to live in Tenerife. It's beautiful. So I'm really, really glad to see you on this. I don't know how we're gonna tackle it. I think personally that there needs to be a clear out, an utter clear out of all the companies and all the people that are responsible. It's a really huge thing. Unfortunately, for the government, I'm somewhat of an anarchist because I believe that we should govern ourselves. I believe that I am a man who can govern himself. I don't need a big brother or any other man telling me what to do. I know how to conduct myself, and I will conduct myself as a man, as a gentleman, with honour, with respect, with patience, with good temper. Like, all of those things, that's what I'm all about that. What they fear most is that we band together, that we unite, that we communicate, that we agree, that we cooperate. That's their biggest fear. So that should be our main aim.
It could eradicate blue sky. It could eradicate blue sky. It could eradicate blue sky.